MB, when I always like to ask you about future headlines. If Nebraska wins in State College, is it the offense, defense, or special teams that grabs the headline?
I think if Nebraska wins, it's going to have to be the defense. Like I think you're going to have to. I could go either way on this one, but I just think so much of the conversation this week has been about, and not just from fans. It's been from the coaching staff too, publicly, about, we know what Penn State's going to try to do. We know what we have to do to game plan. Like it's about run defense. And I think if Nebraska can be pretty effective against the run, they're going to have a chance to win this one. It's going to be a 1-score game. And so I think the headlines would be more about that. But on the other hand, I mean, there is a lot of intrigue about how TJ Lateef is going to look against a better defense in a much more difficult environment. So I think the headlines are going to be about TJ Lateef. But I do think the biggest key in this one is what Nebraska can do against the run, and what's probably going to be a low possession type game where you're not going to be able to give up, a 16 play drive like you did against UCLA. Like, you're going to have to get off the field at some point when you have the opportunity to do that. So that's a really convoluted way of saying both. But I do think Lateef will be the headline, but I do think the biggest key is Nebraska's run defense.
Bruntz, if we've talked a lot about what we think Penn State's going to do and how they're going to try and dictate the way the game goes. If Nebraska was able to dictate pace and style of the game, what do you think that would look like?
I think it would look similar to UCLA, like without the long drives that you gave up. Like, I think the good recipe for Nebraska on offense is you get the running game going, which is going to be a challenge against Penn State's front, but and then you mix in some big plays. I mean, that to me is the recipe and how you kind of control things. I mean, I think Nebraska has the special teams where they can make Penn State have to drive. Like, it's just, again, when you get into 3rd and 4, can you get a stop and force a punt? Can you win enough on 1st down to where you're, looking at 2nd and 9 versus, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. Like, I don't know about you guys, but if that UCLA game, very early on, you could tell what kind of game it was going to be for Nebraska's run defense. Like, it felt early in that game like UCLA was going to be able to run a little bit if they wanted to. So I think that's kind of the way to dictate it a little bit. You just got to get off the field and be better on 3rd down on defense. And I just think, kind of you don't want to hear it, but I think Nebraska's got a lot of comfort in these 1-score games. And I think that's kind of where this one's headed. So we'll see.
That's interesting. You bring up 1-score games. Our little friend here has been having a hard time this week managing the expectations, the record, and the point spread. And I think the point spread is the least important of the bunch, because
it's a lot, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, geez. Go ahead then, Kerosene. Just gas this thing up.
I certainly think so.
Some are saying it's a lot of points.
It's a lot, isn't it? All right, so they hit to Ravi's point. If this thing opens, if it's 7, and then Penn State still has the losing record, and we're talking about their talent, do you think it's a lot easier to negotiate in Nebraska's fans' heads than it opening at 10 and them having a losing, like, because that started the whole, like, what do we believe in, and talent, and can we win a game against a helmet team? Because I do think this would be the most talented team Coach Rhule has beaten if they win.
Yeah, no, I mean, go back to what the conversation was at the start of the year about Penn State. Like, it's you have a different quarterback in there, obviously the coaching upheaval and everything. But I mean, a lot of those guys that you thought highly of back in August are still there in November. We'll see how motivated they are and with everything else. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough, I think, to square the record with the points. And I think you just kind of have to remind yourself that, for all of James Franklin's issues, they recruited pretty darn well. They've got guys that can play a little football. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's the tough thing to square, though, is the record with that. But I agree with you. I mean, I think if Nebraska goes in and beats Penn State on the road, I mean, that's by far the best win this year. And yeah, I mean, I'd go along with, that being probably the best team that they've beaten in the 3 years that Matt Rhule's been there. I mean, I think kind of combined with the roster and just kind of what you're walking into there and having to win a road game in a tough place like that. I mean, I would go along with that.
Can I give
you Northwestern number 2?
No, they appear to be pretty good. They about Northwestern Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would have been something.
How much credit did Nebraska give for the Northwestern win?
None.
Okay. Let me give you a hypothetical here.
Bruntz, do you appreciate your friend's delivery? Because I sure don't.
Yeah. he's not. He doesn't.
He's been surly all week.
Yeah.
Let me give you a hypothetical here, Bruntz. Let's say everything that we know about Penn State is true, but it's all true about Michigan State instead. Let's say everything is true. They were preseason number 2 in the country, exact same recruiting profile. Let's even say James Franklin was the head coach and gets fired midseason, that their starting quarterback, who at the time was at the start of the year was a projected first-round draft pick, is hurt. We're dealing with a redshirt freshman on his 4th start or whatever it is. Let's say everything about Penn State is true, but it's Michigan State instead of Penn State. How much differently do we feel?
Like it's just a different helmet, but everything else is Penn State?
Yeah, like how much of it's because of we just think Penn State is something different?
No, I still think I mean they're different, but I think I don't know that you can separate it. Like
I agree.
It's all part of it.
The helmet matters.
The helmet matters. I mean, if you've been there, I mean that's a tough place to play. Like Nebraska's never played a night game there that I've covered. I mean, I know they've played night games there, but it's just different. It's a different animal. Like it feels like a tougher place to play when it's rocking than say like Michigan. Or I think that's why I'm kind of curious to see what Saturday night's going to be like. Like what's the vibe going to be? Because I think that'll matter. I don't think you can separate it. Like, and I don't think it's just that's Penn State. I mean, it's legitimately a tough place to win, and I don't think you can separate those two things. So, and I do think they've got talent. Like I think you kind of have to remember that. So, I didn't mean to crap on your hypothetical, but
no, I'm genuinely curious because it's not like
I don't think it's just like, oh, well, that's Penn State, so they're gonna like I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happened at Penn State that caused the season to go the way that it did, but I think the things that would lead you to believe preseason that they were going to be okay as a football team, I think a lot of those things are still there, even though you're fighting the coaching change. I mean, is James Franklin sliding into DMs this week? I don't know. Is that a factor?
So yesterday, Bruntz, I was telling Ravi, I was just being a Berean, just doing my own homework. I was, perusing some Penn State stuff, and their media was all talking about James Franklin. It had very little to do with Nebraska. Any chance, and I get it, right? I mean, it's Franklin, right? But any chance Penn State's distracted?
Well, I mean, you had the interim head coach talking about how you have to protect the roster. I mean, right. that was part of the conversation.
That was strange.
So, I mean, I'm sure you guys saw the report. There was like 9 staffers. I mean, they're on the recruiting side, but
Yeah.
there were like 9 that just are gone, assuming they're going to Virginia.
Like what? Like, is Penn State distracted?
But I don't know. Like, I mean, you guys remember how 2022 was. I mean, by November, like, how much were you focusing on games in the media conversation? Like, it was all coaching search, and I think they're kind of at that point now where, you know, the games are happening and people are interested, but the games are here, and like the coaching search and the conversation about that and everything else is way up here. So maybe there is a little bit of distraction to that. I mean, I don't know if senior night gets them a little bit more dialed in, but
They'll be doing it without a lot of the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it's a factor in this. And that's kind of why I say, like, you gotta kind of see where Penn State's head's at for this one, because I think that's a big key.
So that kind of goes into my point here, Bruntz, and I wonder, you know, I remember that 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, however long, 4 years ago, whenever Nebraska hired Coach Rhule. I remember as a fan base not really not caring, but the wins and losses didn't really matter because it wasn't going to change any outcomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you were getting a new head coach. We didn't know who it was yet. We were almost positive it wasn't going to be Mickey Joseph at a certain point. And nothing was changing at that point in the season for us, right? I wonder how much of that is also true for Penn State when you sit here and you say, with the added addition of some of these guys are getting recruited by their former head coach. That wasn't happening with Scott Frost. Like, Scott Frost was not trying to poach the roster at all because he had nowhere to go, and it was pretty clear he wasn't going to have somewhere to go as a head coach, at least. So like, there's even an added layer with Penn State. I am really, really curious about not just the headspace of the players, which I think is in question, but also the fans, and just, you know, I understand that in general, Penn State's a very difficult place to play. I am really curious about if that's true on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're talking about 2022. I mean, basically, by the middle of October, like, Nebraska went to Purdue and lost that game, and it was kind of, I think that was the point where we're just like, okay, like,
yeah,
you got to play this out, and that's why I was very curious with Penn State when they went to Michigan State last week. Like, if they would have lost that game, and you don't even have the bowl game to play for at that point, like, what are you walking into? And I'm curious to see if the bowl thing is even a factor. But that's kind of the great unknown, I think. And
well, according to Ravi, those guys won't be around to play in the bowl game anyway.
I can't imagine most of them will be.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You're 6-6. Where are you going? I mean, do you want to go where you'd have to go? I don't know, but it's at least something that, some kind of string that an interim coach can pull on a little bit to kind of get people going in the same direction. So I don't know. I mean, I agree. That's a big factor in this one, and that's why, I mean, the 10.5 number, I get it, but it also, it's kind of like, well, how much value are we assigning to, you know, what everything else that's swirling around there?
You're currently sitting at 8, so maybe people are with Ravi.
Coming back down. It's worth 2.5 points.
I'm gonna laugh too, because this ding dong said it would be 7 around game time, and I said that's too far of a drop.
I said between 6.5, 7.5.
This dude. I've never wanted to be so miserable as if it means Nebraska will win than listening to him next week if they do. I mean, can you imagine? Somebody will have put the quarter in, a dude that defended Nebraska till the bitter end, and if they pull it off, oh my gosh, there's not enough laps for this victory tour.
We're gonna have to get a bigger studio.
It's just gonna be Barry Horowitz all the way up to Thanksgiving.
Listen, if it means they won, I'll endure. That's for sure.
You have to fall on that grenade for everybody, I guess.
I mean, it's
Cover
better than the opposite of having to hope that Nebraska wins, so I don't come in here with the negative victory laps, right? I mean,
and one of the days I'll be at state final, so I'll be off the hook for one of them.
I'll say, yeah, you'll be off the hook for early next week, and at least one of them.
It's fine.
No, I just, I do think this is a really fascinating situation. Bruntz, I spent all of last week and also the last couple weeks trying to debate in my own head if I thought it would be better for Nebraska if Penn State came in with having beat someone or not being bowl eligible, right? Like I spent the entire time thinking, okay, will they have less juice if they get over the hump and they just say, hey, we didn't lose out? Because losing 9 games in a row would have been like horrific, right? So I was trying to debate in my head, do they have more juice if they just get that, hey, get a win monkey off their back, or hey, they no longer have bowl eligibility, there's literally nothing to play for anymore?
Right. No, and I think maybe one of the concerns is you've got, well, let's see, you played relatively well, but still lost to Indiana. Went on the road and won a very, from what I read, it seemed like it was a pretty emotional win. So I don't know. I mean, I think you would probably have preferred that they laid an egg in the woodshed in East Lansing, but yeah, here we are, I guess. So we'll see what it's like. It's always weird when Nebraska plays at Penn State. Like I think that's just kind of baked into everything.
That's what Nebraska does. They have weird games at Penn State. It's a tradition unlike any other.
2017 was the last one.
Here we go.
Yeah, it sure was. And we all remember, what was it, 2012?
2011.
2011.
Riots,
Just, can we just get a normal trip to Happy Valley at some point? Just no.
They're not having to trade out seats for law enforcement this time, so that's a plus.
That's a bonus.
That's a win. Yeah. We'll call that a W.
Baby win.
We'll call that a W. Bruntz, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you for sacrificing your lawn gnomes to get on camera with us, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks for that drawing, DB. I like that.
You like that? I think this is pretty good.
It is pretty good. Yeah. You want me to take a picture and send that to you?
Yeah, send that over.
All right, we'll do. We appreciate it, buddy. That is Michael Bruntz from Husker247. Let's